So I told you guys that I was gonna do more videos here in my closet for closet talk, even though it's about to be like 6 in the morning. I wanted to come and do this topic because I feel like a lot of people are afraid to either talk about it or suggest it or whatever the situation is, and that would be therapy. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, myself, I have gone to therapy. I started going when I was 12. I had to go. It was a situation that happened with me, with my mom, that the courts like prompted me to go to therapy at the age of 12. So I went from 12 up until I was 14. And at the time, I just didn't see what the point of it was. Like, I was like, this is stupid. My grandmother was like, you have to go because you ain't gonna put my ass in jail. So you have to go. But what I will say is that, like, now as an adult, when you guys watch a lot of videos that I've done about various topics, the reason why I can sit back and like give a clear head about these things is because I did go to therapy. And I understand that a lot of times in the Black community, it is frowned upon to go to someone or shrink and tell your problems to, because people feel like, well, why would I go and let somebody judge me for things that I've done in my past, or things that I may have done, period, or whatever the situation is. But what you guys have to understand is that what therapy does, or well, what it's supposed to do, is it's supposed to be able to give you a clear head about things that are deep rooted, that have either made you be a certain way, cause you to act a certain way, just a plethora of things that are pretty much taking you away from the core of a person who you're supposed to be. And for me, what was happening is, in the situation, because I know some people gonna be like, was it like molest? It wasn't anything sexual that happened. It was a situation that I just had to deal with, and I'm better because of it. And I don't necessarily want to say what it is just because it's personal, but I will say that what it did do is it made me appreciate what I have now. But what it did do is it scared me, and it made me afraid of the world. It made me afraid to go out in the world. So I don't know if I ever said this, but I was homeschooled from the second semester of ninth grade all the way until I graduated. I didn't go to a traditional high school. So what ended up happening was, because I didn't go to a traditional high school, I became a bit of a hermit. And not because that I didn't go anywhere, because trust me, a bitch was out. If you follow me on MySpace, you know that's all I ever do was be out. But it was, I would only go from a certain time to a certain time. I would only go with certain people. I would only go out with certain friends. I would only go to certain things. So for a long time, I had this very scared to conquer the world thing about me that was very unhealthy for me to be like that. But what it did was it forced me to take the world on head on, to make me who the person I am today. But a lot of times what happens is people are afraid of being judged, because judgment comes with a mirror that makes you look at yourself. Because everything that a person says to you doesn't necessarily have to be true. But if somebody comes to me and say, I think you're extremely skinny, I've heard that all my life. So it may be a trigger that may cause me to feel a way, for me to react a certain way. Usually I just cuss people out, just because I feel like body shaming of any sort, whether you're skinny, larger, it could be a plethora of things, because I have family members who have crazy, issues with, gout and, retaining too much water. It just depends on what it is. And then I also have family members who are skinnier than me. So it really just depends on where you come from and what you've been through. But I think what people have to understand is that the great thing that I found for therapy is that it was no one telling me what I have to do. It was a person telling me, here are things, here's avenues. There's no fork in the road. Here are all these avenues that you could possibly take to make yourself a better individual. And I think what you guys have to understand is that as much as we may love the people that were put in our lives, whether it be our friends, our family, our significant others, or surrogate families, everybody doesn't know everything, and people will raise you to the best of their abilities. Some people not so much. But the point is, they're supposed to be your guardian until you're able to be the guardian of yourself. But a lot of times our parents fuck us up, and our elders, I'll say, have fucked us up because, like, for instance, my grandmother, I like, if we're gonna go on a tier, it's like my grandmother and then my mom. And it's because my mom was so young when she had me and my sister that it was like having an older sister as opposed to having a mother figure. But because my grandmother was also young, she was still older. So my grandmother technically would be more in tune to be my mom as opposed to my actual mom. So what ends up happening is the things that my granny went through in the 60s and then in the 70s and in the 80s, she's now telling me as a kid, you know, who's a millennial, those things don't work. You know what I'm saying? Every issue isn't exactly the same as it was during that time, so trying to adapt that now doesn't necessarily work. Case in point, when there was the big race wars, the race wars that were going on, those things of a lot of people around that time felt like everybody who wasn't black was the enemy. But then you have now where we have every type of person, and most of us get along with one another. That rhetoric that is being repeated through, generation through generation, it has an expiration date. But then you start to have that attitude during this time, it usually starts to create issues and problems with people. But back to my point, even now as a person, and as boisterous and as loud and ignorant as I can be here on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff I don't like to do, which is like get to know new people. If you've known me for several years, let's just say in the last couple of years, you and I have gotten to know each other, we probably would have kicked it once or twice because I'm a person who I'm very finicky when it comes to people. And that's why you don't see me on a lot of, if anybody's YouTube channel, you don't really see me kicking it with anybody from YouTube. And it's not because I have any personal issues with anyone, personally, but in order to get to know me personally, I have to know you on a personal level. And the thing with YouTube is that we only show this much of ourselves. So if you see a person and they're doing something repetitively and it's something that you personally don't fuck with, then you usually just distance yourself from them. Because there's a lot of people that I may have posted kick it with, or we just never got around to it. But then it also comes to play in, I'm very finicky towards new people. So if I'm starting to see things about you already because I'm seeing you do certain things that I don't like, then usually I just be like, okay, I'll see you when I see you, that type of thing. I got friends that I've been knowing on YouTube for years that I've never met in person, just because I feel like if we are really gonna be friends, then it'll happen, but I think the falsification of who you are as an individual here on YouTube has just gotten to the point where it's just so stupid. But in therapy, I've had to learn to open up to new ideas and new opportunities and new things, because I was so, dead set and driven on one thing. And it's like, but why would you just, make yourself only one thing when we all as people can do multiple things? So if you're a person who's contemplating going to therapy for whatever reason, whatever issues, whatever problems you may possibly have had in your life, do it. And go in it with the open mind. And at first, the first couple of sessions, you might not necessarily get anything accomplished, but you are going. And going is something that is a step towards the right direction. For me, like I told you, at the age of 12, I didn't want to go and talk to no man or woman to tell them anything that I personally was feeling, but I was very scared and I was very angry and I didn't know why. I had an idea, but it was deep rooted than what I thought it was. So even now I don't go as often as I used to, but I definitely still go. And I think one of the things that you will see a lot on YouTube is that a lot of YouTubers have said that they're depressed. And that is a real thing. It's not people just making videos for click. At least for me, it's a real thing. But it's because we do this and we do talk to no one who's there. You get used to this, but because we are YouTubers and we're at home a lot, or we do videos a lot, and you don't have any, like, only people that are here with me are the dogs, but it becomes a very lonely life. And I'm not saying, but I'm not complaining by any chance. I like my life, but sometimes you do become depressed because your work becomes your life and your life becomes your work. And sometimes you just need to be like, I just need a moment, you know what I'm saying? And when people want you to do, I want to see you do this and I want to see you do that, you get into this routine of trying to please everybody, and you end up the one who's the most unhappy in it. So that's why a lot of times when you guys do see me and I'm going for a minute, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get my mental state back, because this can be a lot. I've been doing this for a long time, and I know when I start to have those moments where I'm uninspired and I don't want to do it anymore, and I'm not, like, my headspace isn't right. But then I have all these people coming at me. I have all these opportunities coming at me, and I'm just unhappy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm legit unhappy. Like, a couple of months ago, there was Lifetime reached out to me about a show. It was a competition show, hosted by Adriana Lima, and it's coming up. I think it's coming up on the new season. It's supposed to run right after Project Runway, and they was like, we were really like, you know, an opportunity to work with you, and I just didn't want to do it. And it wasn't because of the opportunity, and I'm just saying like, oh, I'm too big or I'm too good. It's just that it didn't speak to me at all. Like, at all. And that right there sparked something in me, because I felt like these people are calling you because of what you do, which is hair. It was like a beauty type of competition thing, but so much more than just hair. You get what I'm saying? So what it did was it made me just want to focus more on the production of what I want to do. That's why I keep telling y'all I have something, well, a couple of things great coming up, because I kind of just took a break from the reviews. Even though I have them, I just wanted to just do more, delve more into what made me happy. And therapy was one of those things that taught me how to do that. When you are confused about something and you don't understand something, you need to sit back and figure out, why are you doing it and what is the reason. And if that reason is something that is okay with you, continue to do it and find a different way to do it. If it's not, then you need to figure out how to change that so that you won't end up in a situation where you're just like low-key depressed and doing something that you hate. Because the thing that people don't get is that if I'm doing something here on YouTube that I don't like to do, whether it be reviews, whether it be me doing love and hip-hop reviews, talking about celebrities, and I'm not happy, then this is the same thing as me sitting back working at McDonald's or working at Ross or working at a place that I hate just to make a check. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing, different circumstance. And I didn't work this hard for me to just settle. And I felt like I was settling in what I was doing because I was happy financially, but emotionally I wasn't happy. You know what I'm saying? And it was draining me to sit back and do something that I couldn't be as creative as I would like to. I felt creatively stifled, which then led to me feeling depressed because I felt like I was stuck, you know? So definitely, if you guys are interested in going to a therapist, research a therapist in your area. It's not something that is bad. I know it's told to you, especially if you come from an urban community or something, or you know, Spanish culture, that we don't tell people our business. You don't go back and tell nobody your business. But it's not telling your business. It's for you to be able to get a better understanding of this thing we call life. And there is no playbook for how this thing called life is done. And that's the thing I think we most forget, is that through life, you have to learn how to make it work for you. And there is no cookie cutter way for every single person to actually do something. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have to figure out what works best for you and then go from there. So yeah, like I said, therapy is completely okay. You're not crazy. But to a degree, we all a little bit nutty. Like I said, our parents fucked us up, a lot of us up. So in order to understand where you come from and where you're going, you have to understand yourself. And I think a lot of people today don't understand their self, and they don't understand where they come from. They are of their environment, but they don't understand their environment. So a lot of times when you're in a very I guess you could say, a very unhealthy situation, if nobody's showing you a different way of it, then that unhealthy seems healthy. And that's not healthy. Okay. So I hope this made sense. I hope this can help somebody. And if you guys have any questions about like when I win or when I do go, like kind of what the process is, please I will answer every single comment below. And yeah, I went to therapy, guys, and you're not crazy if you go. It's part of life, and it's part of you starting to take responsibility and take care of yourself and your mental state, part of taking care of yourself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. The review for this hair from Sealy Hair is actually it should be up, and I'll catch you guys in my next one.